What's up, Weary Writers? I'm Alex, and I live in Los Angeles, where it is currently 11 a.m.
I'm Jay Lawrence, and I live in Berlin. It is currently 7 at night, and it's extra dark right now because of the time change. Alex and I have been best friends and writing buddies since we were kids, and we've been complaining about it for just as long.
I'm really jealous of you that your guys' time has changed. We haven't ended daylight savings here, so
why are you jealous? I hate it.
Well, because I've been trying to wake up earlier in the morning, so when I get up at 6, it is dark here, and I hate it.
Yeah, but the sun goes down at 4:30. And so by 6 o'clock, I feel like I need to be getting ready for bed. Anyway, so why are we here?
Why are we here? Because I had the brilliant idea of us doing I don't know, what would you call this? It's not a podcast. It's a
video cast, I guess.
Video cast, yeah, about us doing NaNoWriMo, because we both knew that we wanted to do NaNoWriMo this year, and we've been talking about preparing for NaNoWriMo together for the last several months. But as to whether or not either of us did that, we'll get into that in a bit.
Yes, we were talking about it, but no, I'm glad we're doing this. I think it's going to be fun. I mean, you've been threatening me with it for ages now, and I think it'll be fun to record our bullshit sessions.
Yeah, we were talking the other day. We were chatting on WhatsApp, and you were sharing some of your anxieties and fears and just general things about NaNoWriMo coming up. And a lot of what you were talking about was exactly what I was feeling. And up until you had started talking about it, I didn't quite realize that what I had been feeling was something a lot of other people would be feeling about Nano as well. So because we were both having these similar anxieties, I wanted us to do this video cast or video chat, because if we are feeling these things, then I'm willing to bet other people who are doing NaNoWriMo or who are just writers in general are probably feeling these things too. So if one person out there gets benefit out of watching us spout our bullshit, then it's worth it. Oh yeah, guys, sorry. It is garbage day today here in LA. So if you hear any obnoxious noises in the background, that's what that is. Can't be helped.
Funny enough, I sent my husband and my dog out of the house for this recording, because if I didn't, it was going to be a mess. All right, so let's jump right into it. I want to ask you the first question, which will be the question of the day. I want to know, what is the most random or outrageous thing you have Googled for your writing this week?
Okay, so it's actually something I did. It was before NaNoWriMo, but we're only 3 days in, so it was still within the last week, so it counts. But it wasn't related to the project that I'm working now. It was just a random idea that, of course, came to me days before Nano was supposed to start, and I was really excited about it. So I wanted to get all of my ideas down for that before Nano started, so I wouldn't be distracted by this other idea. And so the most outrageous thing that I Googled for that was, how quickly can a person bleed out if they receive a puncture wound in their carotid artery? I really hope the FBI is not looking at my Google search history.
Oh Lord, if that were the case, we would all be screwed.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Well, did you find an answer?
Yeah, I actually did. It was related to vampires, because the story is about vampires, but it was this group of medical students. The page I found was this group of medical students who were calculating all of these things, like how much blood a vampire would need to consume to be sated, and how much blood you could lose before you start to lose consciousness, and all these things. And apparently it's about 6.5 minutes. So there we go.
You know what? That's actually, so it's just from a small puncture wound?
Yeah, I mean, the size of what would be a bite mark. Right, exactly.
Actually, it's less time than I would have assumed. I thought it was at least going to be 30 minutes to an hour.
It's either 6 minutes before you lose consciousness or 6 minutes before you bleed out. Maybe it's 6 minutes before you lose consciousness. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention. What's the most outrageous thing you've Googled?
Okay, my turn. Fine. So also not for my nano project. It was something that came out of a writer chat that I am a part of. A vegetarian that's on the chat said that bacon smelled like human urine. And so another person responded with, crispy human urine. And then my mind, the writer's mind just kind of hops from one thing to another. So then I thought of the salt fields where the ocean water will dry and then the salt is collected.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of thought that it would be funny to have like a villain harvesting salt from human urine. And so I Googled how much sodium there is in pee. Am I ever going to use this information? I have no idea. But there it is.
Why is the villain collecting salt from human urine?
But let's get back on track, shall we?
Yeah, let's get off of the subject of pee. All right, so it's NaNoWriMo. It is day 3 for me. It's morning of day 3, so I haven't done any writing yet. Evening for you, and so what kind of prep did you do for Nano? What over the last several months since Camp Nano? What have you done to be prepared for this month, or did you get any of that prep that you had wanted to get done?
Unfortunately, I did not get any prep done for Nano this round. It was because of external circumstances. I left my job. I got a new dog. My husband also transitioned his job, and so it's just been kind of a crazy couple of months. And actually, my last day of employment was the day 2 days before Nano started. Yeah, so
that's something to celebrate.
I mean, on one hand, it's great because I don't have my day job to distract me, and I have, in theory, I have all of this time freed up to write. But in actuality, I'm actually quite exhausted, and I've come into Nano having not really prepped for it at all. I did have great expectations in terms of Preptober. I had lots of things that I wanted to do.
Very lofty goals, right?
Yes. But that's not to say that I'm going into this completely blind. Usually what I do when I prep is I have these notebooks that I fill up. They're my project notebooks, and they're tabbed with character development.
Spoilers.
Don't look. Settings, everything, plot points, and it's kind of like my project Bible, and I can keep it with me. It's small enough to go in my purse. So I have for the project that I'm working for Nano, I did start it a couple months back when I first had the idea that I'm going with. But after I wrote down those initial first thoughts, and I maybe worked on it for about a week in terms of planning, I set it down for months. And I think that is really going to hurt me this Nano round.
Yeah. I'm in the exact same boat. So I'm doing for this Nano, I'm doing the same project that I did last Nano and that I did for Camp Nano in July. And I met my July goal, but after I finished the word count goal, I did not look at those documents to the point where when I opened one of them a couple of days ago to like see what I needed to write, and I had a scene in my head that I wanted to get to, I didn't realize that I had already written a bunch of this scene in July. So I did zero prep. I had wanted to do outlines for chapters. I had wanted to work out beats for all of the characters. And I had wanted to do editing for all of the stuff that I had written for Camp Nano, and I just didn't do anything. I didn't exactly have external circumstances. It was just, I think I just needed a break from the story, even though I'm always thinking about this story. I just needed a break from like actually looking at it. And I mean, I think that was a good thing. I think it was good to have that break. And you know what they say, like, you know, people practicing like shooting basketballs and stuff, like if you think about it, it's almost as good as actually physically practicing. So, you know, the book is basically written.
Yeah, I think that that's only true to an extent, though, dear. I think that you can't just sit around and think
Don't
about
kill my
things all the
dreams.
time. I won't.
So neither of us did prep for Nano, apparently.
No.
I think going forward, this will probably, I mean, it's already coming back to bite me in the ass, but at the same time, you know, knowing that I have to still do all of the organizing of the chapters and the different character POVs and everything, I think it will force me to really focus on each of the characters that I'm writing the POVs from. So who knows? Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing that I haven't done any prep yet. Or at least that's the comforting thought I'm going to stick with to give me motivation.
So let me give you a follow-up question for that then.
Okay.
In what ways do you think it's going to come back and bite you in the ass? Like, what setbacks do you foresee because of the lack of preparation?
Well, so far as what I had written for Camp Nano, what I do a lot of the time when I'm writing is I will write just like chunks of scenes, and I won't do any of the transitions. Like I will just write the main, I don't know, bit of the chapter, and you know, I won't focus on the beginning if I don't have a really clear idea of what the beginning of the chapter should be. So it's all of the stuff that I really don't like writing, but I know that it needs to get done, and I've already kind of started doing it. Like one of the chapters that I had written pieces of during Camp Nano, that was what I did for day one, and also yesterday I did like the transitions of that chapter.
Yeah.
But it's not the fun part of writing, so it's really difficult to like get into it. And especially with having a word count goal each day for Nano, I'm wondering to myself if I'm just writing words to reach that word count goal. Like, is this all necessary? Am I overwriting because I want to say that I wrote the 1667 words each day? So I don't know. But at the same time, at least I'm overwriting and not underwriting, because I'll have stuff to like edit out later on. What about you? How do you think this is, or your lack of prep is going to come back and bite you in the ass?
Well, I think I'm in a similar boat in terms of writing just to reach the 1667, because my biggest issue is because I didn't do any prep, my mind isn't in the story. And so I have no visualization yet. I haven't sat with it enough beforehand to be moving the story along at the pace that I need to. I don't even really know what the story is. I'm usually a discovery writer or a pantser anyway.
I hate that word.
I know, I hate that word too. But it's usually I do it by being in the scene, being in the story, and I'm not in the story. I'm not with my characters. And so I'm really struggling to get that number the past couple of days. It's the end of day 3 for me. I still have to write, I think, about 800 words by the end, by bedtime. But it is a struggle. And I don't like any of the words that I'm coming up with, and I don't want to keep any of them. And knowing that going into it is putting me at a disadvantage to, I think, successfully hitting the word count each day.
Yeah, but one thing that I think, like a piece of advice that I've been telling myself through this, and that I've been trying to tell you, is that this is a first draft. It is a first draft. All of our words are going to be shit. And because this is a word count goal every day, just set it and forget it. Just write down what you want to write down and just leave it. Like, don't go back and look at those words, because you're going to be tempted to edit the shit out of it, and that's going to just take up more time.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like that's how, when I'm not writing during an event like this, that's how I write, is I will go back and reread the same 3 pages and edit them a bunch of different times. And it just takes so much time, and
Yes,
it prevents you from moving on in the story, which is the important part, especially for you, because you're still discovering the story, and you're not going to get to that point of discovering it if you're still working on the first, couple of pages.
Yeah. And I also feel like for discovery writers, the momentum of word creation is what pushes you forward. So for example, I can sit down for my first writing sprint of the day, and every word that comes out can be just utter shit. But as I go on to the maybe like the 3rd or the 4th sprint, I have my momentum up, and so I'm just, the action of putting the words down is getting me into that story, and so I have to just trust the process of writing.
Yeah, exactly. Like the biggest challenge is just sitting down to get those first couple of paragraphs out. Like that is the biggest part, and then once you get into the flow. So it's just about sitting your ass down and getting it done.
You just reminded me of something, actually. A pep talk that was published on the NaNoWriMo website by Tracy Dion. And one of her pieces of advice was to sit down first thing and write, I think it was 250 words of fan fiction. Even if you're not into fan fiction, even if nobody is ever going to read it, it's just something to get the words to start coming out. So
that's an interesting strategy. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, I think I actually might try that going into next week to see if it will allow at least the first writing session to go a little smoother.
What are you going to write fan fiction of?
Oh shit, I don't know.
Okay, so we've been talking about preparing for Camp Nano and our experiences with the last couple of days since it started. But what exactly are you working on for Camp Nano? I feel like you've told me about it, and I have somewhat of an idea about your project. But what exactly is your story about?
So my story is a dark fantasy that is set in an ancient world where the weather is controlled by the emotions of one man. And society kind of worships him as their deity.
All right. Well, I feel really bad for those people who live there and all the weather that they have to deal with. So a man whose emotions control the weather.
Yep.
I like it.
That's my project in one sentence. What's yours?
I've been thinking about what is my elevator pitch for this story. And it's because I have multiple points of view and there are multiple things going on. It took me a while to get what the story was about boiled down to a paragraph or 2, but I think I have it. So my story is also set in an ancient world, and it is a dark fantasy. So in this world, there are magic users who have the ability to heal, manipulate the elements, and manipulate plant life. These magic users appear to be a dying breed until one of these people comes to the country's capital with disturbing news that has the potential to start a war.
Is that the back matter? Is that the back matter for your book?
The Amazon description.
There you go. At least you have an Amazon description.
But I mean, it's really difficult to write stuff like that because I know that there's so much more to the story and there's so many different aspects and other characters, and this is just like the beginning of the story.
If you want a piece of advice for elevator pitch, if you want to keep it under a sentence or within a sentence, then go for the most attention-grabbing aspect. For example, mine is that the weather of the society is controlled by the emotions of a man. There's a lot of other stuff.
That's definitely attention grubbing for sure.
Right. There's a lot of other elements that are going into it. There's corruption within the government because his advisors are manipulating him. There is another female embodiment of a power that is going to come in, which will kind of balance his out. There's all that other stuff going on. But if I say all of that in the back matter of a book, then it's going to be a little bit too busy. So then let's talk about goals for next week and how we're going to get ourselves on track to continue to meet the daily word count goals and to make sure that the quality of those words are better.
Right. I mean, the main goal is to get the word count every day, which the last 2 days I definitely have. So that's encouraging in and of itself. But I think what I want to do so that I can avoid kind of the trap that I fell into when I was doing Camp Nano is I want to force myself to write incomplete chapters instead of writing bits of scenes, just the most exciting thing for me to be writing. I want to try to write a chapter from start to finish and not go on to any other parts of the story until I have written what I consider to be the last line of that chapter and then move on to the next chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely going to be a challenge, but I think I'll benefit from it because I will have completed something, like completed something to where after Nano is over, I have a full thing to edit and not just like bits of like pieces of things that I'll have to reorganize and, just make more work for myself.
I always think of it as a big plate of spaghetti.
Yeah. Right.
When I write like that, because everything is just mixed up and you just kind of have to pull it apart.
Oh, we had different metaphors there, but I think they communicated the same idea.
Same thing.
In order to do that, in order to write incomplete chapters, I definitely need to figure out what the chapters are, like what the, not theme of the chapter, but like the arc of each chapter is, and work out all of the beats that I know are important for that chapter, what needs to get accomplished, what information needs to be communicated to the audience in that chapter. And that's going to be a lot of work doing that, organizing and outlining the chapters. But
AKA figuring out the whole book.
I think I'm only going to do it for part one. Like there are 3 parts of the book that I'm predicting. If I do it for part one, and if I do it character by character, I think that'll help me stay organized. So yeah, outlining and writing incomplete chapters. That's my goal for this week and for all of Nano. What about you? What are your goals for the coming week and for Nano in general?
So for the coming week, I want to get into the story mentally as much as I can. I think that I'm going to have to mood board or just do, I don't know, do some sketching or watch some ancient Greek or Roman movies, just something.
I have a list for you because I did that too. I have a list for you if you want.
Oh, great. Send it over. Yeah, that's great. I also
it's really helpful that we're writing in like similar settings and like similar aesthetics because we can just trade resources.
Right. So yeah, I need to be in the world, and I need to get to know my characters a little bit better. I think in order to do that, I'm gonna have to spend a good chunk of each day just doing kind of story development as well. Mm-hmm. So I'll try to hit the word count early in the morning, and I'm not going to go back and edit it. I say that as I still have 1,000 words to write before bed. This is the goal for next week.
Today's almost over. It's fine.
And then in the afternoons, just spend time. I don't know if you can see my wall here.
I love your wall, your little cork board kind of thing.
So that's my goal. Spend time at this wall, mood board, watch movies. I love that that's part of my plan. And get the words down.
We're storytellers. In order to tell good stories, you have to consume good stories.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
I love how your goal is to write the words in the morning and get all of the words in the morning, because that has been my goal since Camp Nano. That was what I was aspiring to do. And like, I looked back at my Nano, like the statistics and stuff, and you put in what hours you were writing from, and it has the conclusion at the bottom. You're a night owl writer. Totally opposite of what I wanted to do, but it's a great goal to have. Whether
We're
or
not morning people.
I aspire to be. I'm not very good at it though. I set my alarm for 6 o'clock this morning and I didn't get out of bed until 9. So
I'm turning into a morning person thanks to my new dog.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she's maybe I should get a dog. She just wakes you up and she's ready to go, right?
She's ready to go every morning, same time. And you know what? I either have to get up out of bed or I have to deal with her going to the bathroom in my bedroom. So that's really good incentive to be a morning person.
Hey, I mean, whatever works, right?
All right. So I'm going to hold you to your goals for next week. And we are going to start off next week with the question, did you meet your goals?
Accountability. I love it.
Yep. We all need it.
Okay. Well, then I will hold you accountable to your aesthetics and mood board and movie watching. Yeah, yours is way more fun than mine.
You're going to hold me accountable to watching movies.
Yeah, I have to do all this work and you're just going to be looking at pretty pictures and making mood boards and watching films.
Hey, you chose your goals.
I did. I brought this on myself. I'm gonna think of some better goals for next week because
there you go. Well, enjoy your week of hard work.
Enjoy your week of movie watching and mood board making.
All right. Talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.